actually sprint. But like
Right.
Widowmaker, like I liked playing as Pharah, right? Widowmaker and Pharah, they can't get on roofs. The whole point is that they have verticality, but almost all the roofs have that invisible collision that throws you off.
Right.
So like
Right.
they don't get that advantage, right? Like
Yeah.
all the flying characters don't get advantage. If there's any sort of speed applied that's different from anyone else, it's very temporary.
So I'm gonna ask you this.
Yeah.
Do you
like,
think the game still would have had the same impact if it wasn't Marvel?
No.
Hold on, wait, I'm doing the thing. Is this his intro?
Hey guys. No, I'm kidding. That would be such a corny intro, you know. You gotta get people off guard, you know. But
Hey,
Nemo was about
like corny sometimes.
Nemo was about to cook though, so I was gonna let Nemo cook. I was just
Go ahead. Because I also think it wouldn't have the same impact. It would have been, you would have had a little more. Like you would have got a little more people over.
Marvel needed a win, is the thing. So I'm glad.
What's that one character's name? The Frost character?
Emma Frost.
Oh, okay, hold on. I'm going back. I'm going back
to
POV. Yo, look at this jiggle physics on Emma Frost, and welcome back to the fictional podcast Spawn Point Sessions. We got our creator spotlight here. We got Nemo off of the Tiki Talkie. Welcome, Nemo. And you know it's always me, your crazy eccentric host, Japan Amir. We got PJ, the one-line king, and then we got Delta, our game dev. Let's go.
I thought you were going to make a ranting joke.
What good would a rant be?
Video.
Like, here's one of the things that makes your rants great, Delta. It's because you're also a game dev. So it's like you're ranting from a place of knowing what the fuck is going on and also being a consumer and lover of video games. So
I can still be wrong, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
gamers
it's not about right. It's not about right or wrong. It's just about getting it out there, you know, how you feel.
Yeah.
You know?
Opinions are subjective, you know, and as somebody who advocates for video games literally being a form of art is subjective. So, you know, you as a video game developer is really exciting to talk to because it's my first time talking to a video game developer as a fan and consumer of video games. But at the same time, there's no such thing as being wrong. Obviously, there are certain conversations where it leans into that, you know, and we all know what I'm talking about.
There are some things that are objectively wrong.
And for
another part about it.
For those of you on TikTok, definitely tap that screen. Tap. I don't know if we've got the other page in here, but I'm going to bring that page up in a second. You got it in there already? Okay.
Yep.
I'm about to send a multi-guest request. But
I will say the video game thing.
Definitely go follow our Spawn Point podcast page. We do this. We try to do this every Sunday. I almost said every other Sunday. We try to do this every Sunday around this time, 2 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're if you're further across the way in the more central part of America, we do it around, what time would that be? Like 2 or 3, right?
2 or 3. 2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3.
We fluctuate around that time, sort of early afternoon.
Alrighty.
But
boom.
I will say we talked about we did touch on
muted.
Muted.
Yep. So I will say the one thing I did want to open with before we really get into the meat. I said that thing that the PSA last week that I gave about Monster Hunter and recommending to people that they build every single weapon in the game as a way to build out time. I had a conversation with some, and forgive me, I don't remember what the guy's name was there in the TikTok comments. Yeah. No, he brought up a really good point, right, about the fact that, like, you know, that's something he likes to do, and that, you know, people should play the way they want to play. And I 100% agree. I am not saying that people shouldn't go and build every single weapon. If that is the way that you enjoy the game,
then do that.
Play the way that you want to play. Have fun. One of my best friends, Alex, who I've brought up before, Amir knows Alex. He played when we played Heroes of the Storm, which we played all the time. He exclusively played Arthas. Before they made any reason to continue playing a character past level 20, this man had over 800 matches lined up and logged as fucking Arthas. That was just because he loved Arthas in World of Warcraft. So, like, if that is the way that you like to play, by all means. My whole point was, though, is that if you're a newer or more casual player coming into Monster Hunter and you say, hey, I would like more content, and the only thing that the devout veteran fan base can come up with is, oh, do all of the things you don't want to do that don't actually pertain to the gameplay, like just go and hunt the same thing over and over and over again to build stuff you're never going to use, that is disheartening. That is a way to make people not want to keep playing, which harms us as a player base.
I agree.
Because when those numbers go down, they're less inclined to keep giving us more stuff. And you know the Monster Hunter team, they fucking cook with content.
Yeah.
So we want them seeing us there all the time. So you got to be more discerning about the kinds of suggestions you're giving people if they're not willing to build. Like if an exclusive light bowgun user doesn't want to build every fucking hammer, that is completely fair. Like, you know, let's be easy on people, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel that. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and like even the way the conversation was going between the two of y'all in the chat or in the comments, that was actually really good. You know, like
because they're not wrong. That's the thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Everybody's got an opinion, you know, some people are going to agree with, you know, some of our rants, some people won't. Just is what it is. Yeah. Shoot, me and Nemo don't even agree about Sinners, but hey, we're able to have a great conversation about it, you know, so it's just like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing too. I feel like a lot of people
let's skip Sinners. Let's skip Sinners.
Yeah, let's skip Sinners. We talked about that one. No, it's just a lot of people have forgotten how to have a discussion, you know? It's all about proving the other person wrong rather than like the whole point of a debate, right? About that conversation is to have like, it's like, this is my perspective, and you need to acknowledge that someone else's perspective is different from yours. And even if you don't take it into account, it's something that you'll always have reference to.
Yep.
It's not about proving the other person wrong all the time. Now, again, as I was saying before we went into the rest of the stream stuff, there are some things that are objectively incorrect. And if it's about game dev stuff, and I know enough to speak on it, I will cap that shit. But for now, Nemo's totally correct. A lot of it is subjective. And I want to talk a lot about games being art today with some of the stuff we got to talk about today.
Well,
let's get into it.
All right.
But do you mind if I piggyback off of what he said real quick? Because he was talking about how everybody is entitled to playing the game how they want to play. And I know we were talking about Monster Hunter World, but me as a FPS competitive player, we have that same issue in that community as well. And so this is one of the main reasons why I hate the whole concept of the meta. You know what I'm saying? Because especially with Call of Duty, for example, you have 30 to 32 different guns, literally over 200 attachments. And you mean to tell me, out of all of that, I'm only obligated to use one gun? So from a consumer's perspective, to ask you a question, you know, as a developer, what can developers do to make items in a game more balanced so that way everything could be viable to use and not just one thing?
Okay, this is something that I've worked on specifically during game development for balancing stuff.
Here we go.
That is the holy fucking grail. Let me tell you, it's sweeping a dirt road, right? Because the whole thing is like the meta is developed by the player in competitive scenarios. The idea is when a game comes out, it is objectively the goal of the designers to make it as balanced as possible so that every play style is viable. But no one tests your shit like millions of players day one, right? Sure. So all these people come in, they start sweeping in, and then all of a sudden all this stuff is meta, right? And the problem is like you see these studios that will overcorrect. And one of my favorite examples is Bungie with Destiny. I was a big Destiny player, as you can see. I don't play Destiny anymore, but I loved all the Destiny posters and stuff. I got the Vault of Glass raid print, which I think is sick.
That's dope.
That is dope. All my Star Wars stuff and my Fallout stuff is over here. I got my
Happy May 4th, by the way.
Happy May 4th.
Be with you.
This is my holiday. But so one big thing with Destiny, right? They made the exotic weapons, and they were really exotic, like these really cool, just bizarre alien weapons. But then people would come in and say, hey, I hate this in Crucible, the PvP mode, right? They'd be like, oh, this is cheap. It doesn't feel good. And players are doing this. Like one of my favorite guns was a gun that would turn someone's soul into a ball after you killed them with it. And you could pick up that ball and dunk it on motherfuckers, which was amazing.
That's so cool.
Exactly. So I would kill someone with it. I'd grab them. And then I would kill 3 more of them by dunking their fucking soul on people. It was amazing. But then PvP people come in and they're like, oh, these guns don't feel good. And Bungie's response was to nerf it across the game. So even the PvE functionality, which was fun to have all these crazy mechanics, started becoming more and more dumbed down. And it started feeling more like it feels good. The gunplay is good. But if it's exotic, I want it to be exotic. there were some guns that were just objectively bad exotics that were like really cool guns, but it's a 3-round burst revolver. It's like, okay, sure, but like this one shoots railroad spikes that poison fucking people, or this one you can load people full of bullets and they explode. Like that's exotic, right? But like, so you lose some of the flavor in that. And when it comes to balancing, it's kind of the same way, where it's like you need to shift so that play styles outside of that meta are viable, but not so much that you punish the previous meta, because people legitimately enjoy playing that way. And it happens in card games too. You'll see that with like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, or like the One Piece TCG Magic, where like you walk in, you see the tryhard,
and I draw 2 more cards from my deck.
I mean, that's the only way.
What do you know?
Activating effect.
I draw 2 more cards from my deck.
But
that's one of my favorite videos of all time, and I legitimately, like in meetings at work, I will be like, "It does what it do," and that's it. Like it's what it do, Yugi.
It's what it do.
But
so
it's
no,
like you'll see it though, like the competitive. Sorry, go ahead, PJ.
No, I was just gonna speak for the Call of Duty aspect, because like, I can honestly say since they came out with blueprints, ever since they came out with those and the tracers, and I literally, me and friends have done the.
You can create your own type of gun and I think like share the blueprint with other people so then they can make.
No. It's literally something you buy.
Okay.
Like you buy blueprints.
Like questions here, you know.
Yeah. So what happened is you can put the same attachments on the gun that is on the blueprint, and the blueprint still hits faster, better, it kills faster in Call of Duty than it would in the actual gun itself if you put the same attachments on. Now, for Call of Duty aspects like Black Ops 6, the metas was like, when it first dropped, was the XM4 and the Jackal.
XM4 with 100-round clip, mind you.
Yes.
Who needs 100 rounds to kill somebody? I could kill somebody with 40. 60 is already overkill.
Someone with 200, I gotta get 400 in.
No, literally.
I'm terrible.
First of all, I shoot straight enough, so I don't need 2, 3 full clips for one clip to kill one person.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's balanced though. Like, doesn't it set off the stability of it?
Not balanced. Because first of all, the XM4 is the most overpowered AR in Black Ops 6.
Okay.
Well, as of right now, I think it's the Kilo and the
Krieg.
No, not the Krieg. The AMAX. Those are the two. Like
no, the AMAX is still. I don't even consider that a real AR, to be honest with you. It don't hit hard enough for a real AR.
Wait, the Kilo or the AMAX?
You talking about the CR AMAX? AMAX. Yeah, no. I was thinking about the AMAX. But
okay, yeah.
Yeah, no. So yes, the Kilo and the CR Max are the most OP guns right now. But Call of Duty has fell off because now, even for rank, you are only able to use an AR and SMGs. And they only have a select few maps, and they're trying to replace maps.
So wait, are there not deficiencies that come from mods now too, where it's like if you get 100, like if you get an expanded capacity, it increases your reload speed, or like it increases the time it takes to reload, or offsets the stability or something?
No, they took that pretty much away. It's slow.
Well, so I wouldn't say they took it away completely, but if you compare this Call of Duty and compare it to other Call of Duties. So, for example, if you put like a 60-round mag on, the AMAX, you're definitely going to reload slower. And the regular sprinting is the same speed, but tactical sprinting is slowed down. And so basically, when you compare the the deficiencies of this game versus like in previous Call of Duties, you put a 60-round clip on a gun, you can tell the difference. Like, you're slowing down, like, for sure. But now, there's so many different variables that come into play, because half of the people are, playing with, what's that thing called? A scuff gaming controller with paddles. Some people don't even use tac sprint. Some people have tactical sprint automatically on indefinitely. There's perks that give you...
What's the difference between sprint and tactical sprint? In the game? I haven't played Call of Duty in years.
Yeah. So basically, there's walking, and the sprint is basically, I think it's, what is it, like 10% increase movement speed?
Yes.
And then the tactical sprint is like 11 or 12% increase in movement speed. So when you're sprinting, you see the gun motion go side to side, but when you're tac sprinting, you see the hands go up and down like that.
Yes.
So
it's like a super sprint on top of the regular sprint.
1% increase in a super sprint. God, what a terrible way to live. I never wanted to.
Call of Duty has literally went from actually skill development to more about the pro aspect of movement instead of because now it's not even the omnidirectional, it's also the just movement speed itself, because you have pros like Shotzi and Skies and all different pros that show you the skunk that are movement gods. Like, they are great when it comes to movement, but it's also the fact that their gun skill is already out. Nobody can match their gun skill.
And to piggyback off of what PJ said about the movement, it's really like the skill gap doesn't lie within the actual gun skill anymore. It relies on how you utilize your movement and your environment. So, for example, Nadeshot, the founder of 100 Thieves, ex-pro player, one of my favorite ex-pro gamers, he brought up a really good point. He said there's walking, there's running, tac sprint, and now there's omnidirectional movement. And he's saying there's no reason for a game to have 4 different movement capabilities in one game, because now you're just he didn't say it's like creating chaos. It's just more like, for example, somebody is going to rely on a tactical sprint while other people are going to rely on slide canceling, and other people are going to rely on dive to sprinting and like all these different things. So you have, I think for me personally, the problem with Call of Duty right now is that how there's skill-based matchmaking when it comes to like KD and like, certain stuff like that. There's no skill-based matchmaking based on movement. So when you're in a game, it's just a clusterfuck of 4 different paces just going at it with another. Me, I love tactical sprinting, but sometimes my tactical sprint isn't viable against a fight with somebody who's bouncing off of walls, slide canceling, doing 3, like, you know what I'm saying?
I slide cancel more than anybody.
Yeah. This is a really interesting thing for me, because this kind of conversation that you and PJ just had, Nemo, this is why I stopped playing Super Smash Bros. In the long run. And it's not because it's like I have nothing but respect for Call of Duty and Super Smash Bros., right? But when it reaches this point where we're talking about the types of movement interfering with gameplay, like that's where it loses me. That's on a meta level. Like slide canceling, I don't know what the hell that is. I think I can infer based on the name, but like my ass is like focused on like Apex, you can slide and it's momentum based.
Oh, I love it.
Momentum based sliding is objectively one of the best types. Like, good movement in a video game is peak for me. Like, the player's going to be moving 90% of the time. If the good movement is a core base of the game, the rest is just icing on the cake, and that's some good fucking icing, right?
Yeah.
But when you're talking about this, so it sounds to me like Call of Duty has it sounds like the developers have tried to design like more in-depth movement mechanics, ways to play the game in the way that they're like, because I hear it as someone who's done design, and I'm like, oh, like encouraging players to use their environments to think about where they're going. That sounds great to me, like in a tactical sense. But it sounds like it's actually very frustrating for competitive gamers, which they're like, when I'm in a game. So Call of Duty is like the bane of my existence as a gamer for a kid, because like, that was the game where my friends stopped pretending they were having fun when I would lose. I was so bad that they couldn't even be like, yeah, jump on. They would ghost me. They would
That's crazy.
go play Call of Duty. And my ass was like, all right, well, I'm that bad, So obviously there's a skill issue there. And I'm a lot better at some competitive games now, but I cut my losses for years. And
I'm gonna also be. The thing is also they are trying to slowly build their way back up to the jetpack Call of Duty.
Oh God!
without going all the way into it, because I'm a big fan of Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 was my favorite Call of Duty. To me, it stands at the top of pinnacle of Jetpack's Call of Duty. At the end of
to say.
Go ahead, Nemo. We go debate this one out.
And I know, Japanimir, watch your chat when I say this. Advanced Warfare is top 3 Call of Duties of all time because of the jetpacks. Yup, PJ, listen.
Over Black Ops 3?
Absolutely. Hear me out. You remember Black Ops 3? You remember the G slide? G slide? That was nothing compared to the G slide. Is not going to get you from one roof to another. The G slide was strictly based for ground combat. But when it comes to jetpacks, you could fight on a roof. You could fight on separate roofs. You could fight on the same roof. You could fight on the ground. You could take the fight from the ground to the roof. You could take the fight from the roof to the ground. There was a lot more versatility. You know how many times? Think about Warzone right now, right? Warzone right now is all about positioning. If you have great positioning, you're winning the game. And that's exactly what Advanced Warfare did with their jetpacks. The jetpacks gave you the ability to get better positioning. And this is how I learned how to play hardpoint, because I was able to use my jetpacks to get from point A to point B before the enemy teams. That, and I memorized all the rotations of the hills. But the Black Ops 3, amazing game. But the G slide thing and
that's very similar.
I was never told in Advanced Warfare to picture myself in a frozen forest. So how could it possibly be better than Black Ops 3?
It reminds me of
M. Night Shyamalan movie.
It reminds me of
first-person shooter where the campaign hasn't been shit for years.
It reminds me of Titanfall. Like, because Titanfall had that level of verticality.
Exactly. That's what
and everybody and people argue that that's one of the best first-person shooters of all time. So
it's not even an argument. It is absolutely in the top 10.
No, Titanfall is literally in the top.
So I would have to say. So on that point alone, I would have to say I'd have to agree with Nemo that maybe adding jetpacks back now that you have all these other forms of movement.
The world wasn't ready for jetpacks.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
But Black Ops 3 now. It combined wall running, the jetpacks. It was just in its own way, because imagine somebody hiding in a corner and you're wall running, jumping up high as you possibly can, shooting through the whole map. And then it had 3. I'm also saying it had my favorite guns, which was the M8, the Dingo, the Brecci, and
what was that one SMG? What was that one SMG? I think it was called like the Reaper or something. Or it might have been a different Call of Duty.
I think that's a different Call of Duty. I think that's
it's probably a different Call of Duty.
Might be before Black Ops 2.
I'm just saying, if Black Ops 6 is heading that way, they just canceled the most recent Titanfall project that was coming up at Respawn. There is a hole that only crazy good movement in a first-person shooter can fill. And this is coming from someone who bought Brink when that was coming out.
Yo, Brink was so cool.
Brink.
I love Brink.
Was so cool. That was one of the most poorly executed but coolest ideas I've ever seen. That had some of the best first-person parkour movement in the game. But the entire campaign was just objective-based PvP matches against bots. And then they did PvP, and like no one wanted to keep playing it. But it was a really cool game. And like if you can pull that off, if you can do that first-person parkour stuff and make it like more versatile, more vertical, like I love that. I'm always down for that shit. I think that's super cool.
So
like it needs to go somewhere, right? And Black Ops is like that sort of like splintered reality where science fiction is a little more viable. Like go crazy, go nuts, have fun.
Yeah. I think for me personally, I'd advocate for Advanced Warfare. Die-hard fan of Advanced Warfare, because that was like, I've been playing Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 3. I know a lot of people started Modern Warfare 2, but I started Modern Warfare 3, but Advanced Warfare was like the game where I like really peaked at. So like, obviously there's somewhat of a bias there. But at the same time, like when I hear people complain about jetpacks this, jetpacks that, I'm just like, the thing is like when Call of Duty now, like ever since Call of Duty 2019 came out, everybody's like, we hate slot canceling. Every pro and Twitch streamer and YouTuber, their reaction was just like, oh, like...
Right up there. Next to the Devil Fruit, it's the night vision goggles from the Prestige edition of Modern Warfare 2. I played that game for cool. I played that game for a month, but I bought that because it was on sale at my Best Buy as a kid.
Oh,
my
that's fucking
mom was like,
awesome.
I don't want you to play Call of Duty. I was like, I'm not. I want functioning night vision goggles. And that's exactly what I fucking did. I didn't play the game for a year, and then I played it, and my friends ghosted me, and I stopped playing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
That's how that went. Wait, hold on. So it went. Yeah, I'm excited to get night vision till my friends don't want to play with me anymore.
No. I mean, they didn't want to play Modern Warfare with me because I was terrible. But I have functioning night vision goggles.
There you go.
No one else
did
those.
Yeah, there you go.
As I was saying, a lot of people are just like, oh, we hate slide canceling, and then a lot of pro players and Twitch streamers and YouTubers as well, like, you could slide cancel too. So that was my same reaction when everybody was hating on the jetpacks. Like, yo, you have the jetpacks too. Why don't you, instead of complaining about them, use them? You know, and that's why the whole Advanced Warfare hate, to me, in my opinion, is so unwarranted. And
it's not only just that. It is people don't know what to look at in their settings. I am a stick and move player. All stick and move does is switch your melee and your jump button.
Yep.
All I'm using is my right thumbstick to turn and move and jump. That's all I'm doing. There's no cheating. There's no whatever you want. It's not that. There's bumper jumper. There's so much stuff.
Like southpaw, like tactical, inverted southpaw.
You don't need a scuff controller. You don't need it. Just look at your settings.
I'm trying to be as good as Jinxie.
Listen,
Jinx
hold on.
was better before the scuff controller. Jinxie you looked in their all games. If you look at your settings, the games give you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I have to agree with PJ, because when Modern Warfare 2 came out, I noticed the huge skill gap, right? Because of the whole jump shotting. You remember drop shot was a thing? You could instantly you could drop like 50 kills just like drop shotting, but now it reverted to jump shotting. So every time I'm playing ranked, or, you know, I'm playing, you know, custom matches, you know, 8s with the homies, I'm like, I can't get a kill for my life because everybody is jumping 10 feet in the air. And so I'm sitting here struggling because, like, I guess, like, you know, muscle memory, like, I'm so used to pressing the X button to jump, but it's so hard to press the X button and, like, aim and shoot at. So Modern Warfare 3, when that game came out, the first thing I did, I went to the settings, I changed, what was it? This button right here, I switched that to the jump button. And now all of a sudden I'm frying. Like, I'm keeping up. And even when I'm not frying, I'm like, wait, I could actually keep up with the big dogs now, because that skill gap that was like this is down to here now because I'm keeping up. It's all in the settings.
I switched this. I also went back to the original Call of Duty where I'm not using a trigger as my shooting. I'm using R1, I'm using R1 as my shooting. Because that's the original way Call of Duty was before you used the triggers.
That is true.
But the trigger makes more sense because it's a trigger.
Yeah, but the thing is, you have to.
But if you were a PlayStation player, they didn't know what triggers were until the PS4.
Yeah,
true.
That too, but it's not even just that. PlayStation 5 already messed you up because they got this trigger effect that stops you from. It's like the ABS system in your car where you have to press it twice just for you to pull down all the way. I had to turn that off to make my trigger even feel.
Well, the adaptive triggers for the PS5.
Yes, that is terrible. That was a terrible idea.
Fun fact. So that fun fact. Very, very deep internal thing. When you make a game and you're putting it on one of the console platforms or any platform really, you got to go through the certification process, right? So like Xbox, Nintendo, Sony, they all have a list of requirements that your game has to meet if it's going to be on those things. And it costs the studio. So this is why patches and updates take so long. Whenever you add content to the game or put something on the store, it needs to go through this process. And you pay every time you submit. And if it fails, they send it back, you fix it, you pay again to send it. So if you're ever wondering why it takes forever to patch a game, it's because the patch can be done in like a week, but it can take up to a month depending on the partner and the requirements to get that shit done. Yeah, it's crazy.
So hold on. I'm not gonna get
Certification is
into.
a bitch.
I'm not gonna get into like actual
No.
numbers, but God forbid if like you pay like a large sum to submit like for new content for like a patch or an update, and that shit gets rejected.
You have to
That's like buying something and not being able to return it.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's crazy.
It's like scratch tickets. It's like scratch tickets, legitimately, because it's like you. The thing is it depends entirely on whoever reviewed it too. So that is also subjective. So they go down the checklist. Maybe you got a stickler over at Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony, and they say no, this isn't going to work. They send it back. And the thing is they've got set hours too. Like they won't do it on weekends. So it's like you send it on like a Thursday, you're not going to see that shit until next week, and you're going to be sitting on pins and needles. And the thing is, it's like people are like, oh, well, I want to go in and fix this thing, and it's like, well, we can't wait for the feedback on the cert, because if the cert passes, we're putting that shit in. But if it fails, then you can do it. But you don't want to mess with builds until it's done. So that's a whole thing right there. Certification's crazy. But one big thing with Sony is that their controller is a huge part of the certification process. It is usually a requirement that you feature some sort of adaptive, you feature something that involves the adaptive triggers or the light bar or the sound that's in the controller. Like that's a big thing. They want to emphasize how unique the controller is. So if it's included in the game, that's usually because there's some sort of requirement that they weren't meeting beforehand. Because I would imagine in a game,
that's why we have updates on our controllers now.
The firmware joint.
I love my PS5 controller, but that shit dies like that because it's got 600 systems tied into it now. And so when they released the what was the tablet thing for the PS5? I can never remember what it was called.
That thing is so dumb to me. I'm sorry.
They released it, but they were like, the battery life is as long as the PS5 controller. I'm like, you lost me. I'm done. I can't. That's what, 4 minutes?
But,
and then
the first thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was.
And then.
No, you
could go.
No, you go.
Okay.
Because
so
my thing is something after you guys could.
Oh, okay. Because the whole PlayStation, I think it's, what is it called? A PlayStation Portal?
PlayStation Portal.
And so somebody told me that your PlayStation had to be on sleep mode and connected with the PS5 in order for you to actually. So it defeats the whole purpose of a handheld.
So when I first saw it, I was like, that's brilliant because they've been putting a lot of initiative into cloud gaming. I can use it for cloud gaming. But it turns out it's more like the Wii U tablet, where it needs to be connected to the console needs to be running, and you're supposed to be playing it like on the couch while someone else does something. And that was a huge bummer for me because I was like, man, like I could play my PS5 in bed. Like I could lay down and play Spider-Man or something for a couple hours. That'd be really cool. Yeah. But that's not the point. Like, I mean, actually I could probably do that with the way it works, but like people were expecting something a lot more portable, but it's really just like, it's supposed to be used around the house, which is kind of a,
it's like they just increased the vicinity in which you could use a PlayStation.
You can step further back from the TV.
Crazy.
So that's a big thing. The certification. A lot of gamers don't know about that. That's a process for, like, the delays in content. That is a huge thing. So like a lot of game builds will be like feature complete and polished, like months before they come out, simply because they want to account for the fact that they are going to be shut down by the cert teams any amount of time. Like ideally it's good, and then they can go in and start working on, because like the day zero patch, I know gamers hate downloading day zero patches. That shit is a godsend in game development. Because the thing is like the initial approval of the game coming out is what lets that game date be set. The day zero is allowing them to continue to work on that and continue to polish. So like the original build is feature complete. Day zero is where they're going in and fixing all those crazy bugs. And as someone who's working, I'm a QA analyst, to give you perspective, Nemo. As a QA analyst, right? Nothing is more sexy to me than the opportunity to polish something for several fucking months. Because one of the worst things in gaming,
that glitch.
One of the worst
that
things
glitch from day one when we started.
Dude, no, legit.
I'm about to get it. Hey, I'm about to make a name with myself for this one.
Well, it's like gamers, right? Gamers talk about like, it would be so easy to pay for QA to do this. Like anyone who had played the game for 4 seconds would have checked this, right? The function of QA is like that meme of Jesus standing in front of all the rocks coming in, and that one guy getting hit in the head with the pebble and being like, "Why, God?" And you turn around and Jesus is getting pelted with boulders.
Yeah.
It's literally, that is QA, because the thing is for every bug you find that you're like, clipping through something, or you press something and your character does something janky for a second, there have been like a dozen bugs prioritized that stop your console from bricking. It is like the triage process. Like there's a whole triage process for bugs where they categorize what the most severe shit is. If there's something that seems ugly, like, trust it's going to get patched, right? But like all the stuff that had to happen for that to be still in the game, like, count your fucking blessings, because like I don't even know if it's still a thing. I haven't heard that it's been fixed. Borderlands 3, when that shit came out, if you played on 4K on Xbox and you joined someone's game, it would turn off your console. Not even heat, not even an overheat. It turned off the console. I don't understand.
That's crazy.
How, because the thing is one of Microsoft's certification processes is that it doesn't actually harm the hardware. And I did it was on my One X, right? It would do it. Then I bought the Series X, which was $500, and I re-downloaded the game. I'm like, surely not, and it still fucking happened. And I'm like,
crazy.
How they managed to get that through certification where it would turn off $500 console hardware is bizarre.
Scary.
It's like crashing the game is one thing, but crashing the console is terrifying.
See, and like I said, when we first started talking, I'm actually very glad that I'm a developer right now, because now I have like a whole bunch of questions. So you know how like every time a new game comes out, and we're gonna talk about the elephant in the room, Cyberpunk. Yeah. You remember? So like a lot of people were saying like on launch the game was unplayable. Like people were saying it was bad. You know what I'm saying?
On launch, yeah.
So now you explaining me the process of like patching all of those things. Now I'm getting a better picture of like, whoa, like all of the bullshit that they had to go through to fix that entire game probably must have been hell for them,
Well, there's that, and so Cyberpunk was a really interesting case for me because it was in a state that even with that information in place, I don't know that I would have released it. And the big thing with that, I think, is that, CD Projekt Red was riding the high of Witcher 3, right? And that fan base is like a cult. Same with Blizzard fans, where it's like, you say anything against them and you're in death threat land right there. So that game, like, it ended up, it's great now, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It plays fantastic. But the way that it was, like, they had delayed it dozens of times. They were starting to get threats from gamers. And the problem is like when you have announced a release date for a game, if you push it back, that costs the company millions of dollars because it's all marketing material that has now been completely invalidated. Like, videos are now completely incorrect. Anything that was printed at GameStop, Best Buy, Walmart, all wrong, right? So all of this information, it also puts a ton of bad will between you and the gamer as well, because it's like, hey, we've committed to this, and then suddenly you can't commit to this. Now you're starting to see some gamers that are saying, hey, take your time. I love that, right? But the thing is that if you're sitting there and if you have publishers and stockholders and whatnot that are saying like, hey, we want the game to come out at this time, and they push that date out, once that date's there, that's on the wall. From that point forward, like once it's been announced and it's there, that's it.
Also, just like we've seen with like Oblivion's remaster, like doing like a shadow release like that, look how fucking wildly successful that was. You see what I'm saying?
Have the time
and it's like, and it's not like that game is free of bugs. I've encountered my share of bugs too. You know what I'm saying?
Not old bugs,
but like, who's complaining about it? Absolutely nobody. Because it's not like
it's been great.
It's not like you didn't have a moment as a consumer to sit there and be like, okay, it's been X amount of years, right? So this should be done by now, because these are, you gotta remember,
the big thing.
Like people like
thing with Oblivion now is that Oblivion,
like PJ and Nemo, we just consume the game, so like we don't really know what all goes into making it. I couldn't tell you that. I could tell you that, there's somebody drawing character models. I could tell you very basic stuff about what goes on into making a video game, but to really quantify that into a unit of time, we really can't do that. So if I were to say, hell, Nemo, it took me 5 years to write Rock Salt, and then I hand him a book of Rock Salt, and it's like 3 chapters, he's going to look at me crazy, but he doesn't know the process. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to a game, 5-6 years, that's not that long of a time. That's like really...
The big thing is with Oblivion, I think Oblivion shadow dropped because of the cult love of that game. It could not fail.
Yeah.
Literally, like they could have made it look half as sexy as it does and left everything the same, and it would have sold almost as well as it has. Like,
yeah, I'm definitely not saying
that
that if you're not well known, definitely don't do a
no.
one's gonna
That's the thing.
Like, we don't care about your no-name game.
Yeah,
now, like, even with
a lot of gamers will compare AAA games to the ones that indies have made, right? Where they're like, hey, an indie dev made this and it looks way better than this, and it's a lot better than that, right? So, but the thing is like indies work hard. I have nothing but respect for them, right? But that is a game that is made on their timeline, on their budget, at their pace.
Yep.
You know? When you are a AAA studio making a game, you have millions of dollars that have been thrown at you, and they say, we want to see it within this time frame. So the marketing material, the hype needs to get built up in order to keep that cash flow, keep people happy, right?
One more thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Nemo.
One more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, we got to do this since we just had like a good almost hour-long conversation about Call of Duty. Anyway, between PJ and Nemo, I got a little game to play. We're bringing back our random lists. All right, here we go. So with the Call of Duty random list, we are doing the weapons from Call of Duty. I'm going to give you guys 2 lists, okay? We're going to do a top 5 of these random weapons, and you guys got to rank these random weapons on your list, okay?
Oh.
Does it mention which Call of Duty they're from? Because there's a lot of Call of Duty.
Okay, so I did it from the list of Call of Duty games from, how far back did I go? I went to Modern Warfare 2, so from 2022 all the way till now.
Okay, that's a little bit easier.
Okay, yeah.
Because there was.
I wasn't gonna go.
Do you not know how many guns those are?
First Call of Duty game, the one that dethroned Medal of Honor for best first-person shooter. We're going all the way back there, and nobody remembers.
We're going to use the PPSH from World at War, the one that had the vinyl record on the top of it.
Exactly, that one.
Please don't bring up the PPSH.
All right, here we go.
Okay, this should be fun.
All right, this one's coming out of Modern Warfare 3. We got the TYR.
5.
The TYR. Hold on.
That's the tier, the revolver. And Modern Warfare 3, it's that single shot. If you get shot. Yeah, no, that's a 5. Yeah.
Low key. Okay. I'm gonna put that at 5.
5. I would have judged you, and I would have knew what type of player you were.
Only because like I don't know what other guns he's gonna say too, so it's like too early on.
Yeah, no, this is where it fucks well.
Yeah, have to be 5.
What about the FJX Horus?
3.
A 3, PJ.
I have a love-hate relationship with that
gun. For sure, number 3. For sure.
4 is going at 4. I have a love-hate relationship with it.
All right. What about the ISO Hemlock?
2.
I'm gonna put that at 2.
Okay.
2.
Okay.
I'm gonna put that at 2.
I love that.
The KV Broadside.
3.
4.
Nemo, I'm ashamed.
3.
How are you gonna put a shotgun at number 4? I'm ashamed.
No, because it's a shotgun.
You don't understand. That shotgun was terrible.
Here's the thing. If you're in multiplayer, for sure, you're gonna use a shotgun, especially if you're camo grinding. Warzone, Rebirth, Ranked. When was the last time anybody? I almost said the N-word, by the way. Are we allowed to say that?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last time you seen a nigga use a fucking shotgun in Warzone?
Whenever they pick it up when the first.
What are you talking about? Y'all don't put slugs on that thing and don't people from across the map? Am I the only one who snipes with the shotgun? That's me.
That's only you. No,
that's
no
only
one
you,
uses.
And that's
no
why
one
uses a shotgun.
Because when I hit them, they're like, "How did he get me with a shotgun?" And
the only time a shotgun you use is small map mosh pit.
Basically, yeah. Or if you're using doing like plunder Warzone, just to XP grind.
I'd like to make a record as the casual in the group. It's also a moderate brag. I got my very first victory royale in Fortnite last night, and it was exclusively because I was using the Star Wars scatter gun.
Yeah.
Oh,
guess
my
what
God.
that
This
is,
new
guys?
Star Wars
Guess what
update
that
is so
They're
guys?
doing the
A
Star Wars
shotgun.
season. Like,
Exactly.
I legit-
Y'all finna make me
Shotgun
play
supremacy.
Fortnite again.
I went in so I went into the game for the first time in since it had first come out, since the Battle Royale had come out, because my niece asked me to play, and I'm fucking terrible at it, right? But they did I'm already spending money on skins because it's fucking brilliant. But if you had told me 10 years ago that I would beat out 100 other players using a shotgun from Star Wars while skinned up like Mariah Carey, I would have fucking lost my mind. Because the thing is right after I did that, I went in to drop it like it's hot, fully choreographed, and danced on that motherfucker's corpse for a full 10 seconds before the screen went. It was amazing. It is brilliant. It is one of the smartest games I've ever seen because it knows that the internet just loves memes. It's just references.
That is all Fortnite.
Oh, that's right. We do have one more.
Yeah, we do got one more. We got one more.
Go to our next round. Okay, here we go. The AMR, the Cat AMR.
I love it. I'll take it as one.
I'll take it as one.
I love snipers.
All right, okay, so they're pretty even.
Dude, you're talking to two competitive players. It's going to be the
I'm
same.
not gonna lie. That's a pretty decent list. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
that's a pretty. That wasn't too hard. I thought I got worried.
All right,
you know when you start throwing the second list.
The second list.
Oh boy.
We're gonna start off with something that I think that I think the dweebs really like, and that would be the dual Kodachis.
5. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Amir, it's the
3.
Really? 3? I thought you were gonna say number 4, low key.
No,
yeah, but
I like melee people. I troll people with melee.
You know what? Valid. I respect it.
Hold on. Is it actually a pair of katanas?
Yeah, it's a
yes.
medium-sized katanas. Yeah, the
yes.
Now,
medium-sized. Get the fuck out of here.
You know the people who troll with melee weapons.
I know.
You want to see the katana set? I'll pull
listen,
it out.
I don't want to see your katana set that you got from a fucking mall store.
You don't want to see my blade, Delta?
Listen,
I don't care how long you've been studying it.
Listen, I'll show you my blade, man.
I'm gonna be so for real. If he would have said the kilo sticks from Call of Duty 2019, that would have easily been number 1. That would have easily been.
That would have been number 2 for me.
And the only reason why I would put it at number 1 is because of the whole lunge feature. You would be 3 feet away, but you would lunge at an. Oh my god, it was broken. It was.
Yeah,
and
it was broken as hell.
And then mind you,
he said lunge at it and it stopped right there. That was fucking.
Oh,
broken.
okay. Hold on, my audio is doing the thing again. Hold
on. No.
No.
Not in the stream. No,
you were good.
No, you were good. It cut out for a second.
No, you were
good
just for a second.
It's like when you
okay.
When you said lunge at niggas, it literally cut out.
Okay. I thought my actual mic was like.
No. My computer's trying not to be racist, so it's censoring things. I don't feel tempted.
We got 4 more to go through. We got the MCW.
2.
Low key, I was about to say 3, but I
2.
You know what? I'm gonna put it at 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it at 2 as well, cause MW2, I played ranked since it released, and that was
3.
Ranked
MCW, 100 round clip. And
100 rounds is crazy. 100 rounds is crazy.
The only reason I did it was because people pissed me off. I was just like,
you know what? That's valid. That's valid.
I shot bodies.
He's like, that's my
job. Oh yeah.
All right, here we go.
Search and destroy.
The Lockman sub.
4.
I'll spell it out. LACHMA.
It was Modern Warfare 3, the Lockman sub. You remember people ran with dual Lockmans? No, dual sub. Was it dual Lockman subs, or was it the Lockman shotgun? Or
it was
we had
MP5, so it probably has.
Yeah, so we had the dual katanas at 5, and then I put MCW at 2. Low-key, I'm gonna put it at 4.
I'm gonna put it at 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it at 4.
I hated the Lockman.
Now this one. Okay. I swear, if y'all don't rate this one reasonably, something wrong with y'all. This one is the Lockwood MK2.
5.
See, here's the thing.
He went for the throat.
Here's the thing.
Come on.
Here's the
No. It's because
Hold on.
between 1 and 5, and it's not going to be mine.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna put it at 3, right? That's the empty spot I have.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it at 3. Here's the thing. I love the MK2, MK12. I love it, but the thing is, it was not viable in the environment that we got since 2019.
Yes.
If I was using the MK2 anything before 2019, I probably would have put it at like number 2 or number 1. But the thing is, the pace of Call of Duty now just skyrocketed. So even if you have like a quick build to it, you're gonna keep up, but you're gonna end the game with like what 12, 15, and even then, when you build it out to, you know what I'm saying?
Japan Amir run. Yeah.
You know.
That's solid. You play with me. You already know it's where it's going. I'm never going positive. But if I can hit double digits in my kills, I'm good.
There you go.
I feel you.
So even if you build out the MK2,
I'm a feeder.
So even if you build out the MK2 to be quick, you're decreasing the range or decreasing the damage, and it kind of like defeats the whole purpose of an MK2. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Did you not get that update where they had it where you could have dual Lockman shotguns?
Yes, I remember that.
You're going around.
I remember that.
It was the
words.
I was used
in Modern Warfare. Got it.
Basically,
yes.
That's how I would have. I would
it's
have
actually
done
crazy
everything that I needed to do to unlock that, and you would never have seen me use anything else.
And Amir, I had so it's actually funny you mentioned the MK2 because I did a YouTube video. I'm gonna send it to you once we're done with the session. But you remember John Wick Chapter 4 came out?
Yeah.
And the black guy, his name is Mr. Nobody. His character was Mr. Nobody.
Dog, right?
Yeah, he uses an MK2.
Yeah.
And so basically I made a YouTube video where I titled it Mr. Nobody Plays Call of Duty, and I was just frying with the MK2. It was the most fun I had. I'm gonna send it to you once we're done. But yeah, it's a great gun, just not viable in today's Call of Duty.
Wholeheartedly.
That's fair. All right, here we go. The last one, the RAALMG. The RAAL MG.
That's the LMG for NW3.
Yep. Oh no, it was it is MW2 and 3.
Yeah, it was the. Well, this is why I hate Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 2 of today. Because Modern Warfare 2 was such a flop. Modern Warfare 3 was supposed to be a DLC, but because of what happened, Modern Warfare 3 they sold separately as a video game. It was its own game because Modern Warfare 2 was such a flop compared to its predecessors. Because Modern Warfare 3 was originally supposed to be a DLC. That's why the story was.
We're talking about the new one, right? Not the original Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, because Modern Warfare 2 was such a flop when it released, literally because that's when they started. Every Call of Duty was supposed to be released 2 years. But because Modern Warfare 2 it became so bad that people just stopped playing it within weeks. They said, Modern Warfare 3, we're going to do this. It's not going to be a $30 DLC. We're going to sell it as a $70 video game. And it came with a further little bit of the story. It came, and all they did was add settings to it.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, and it was literally the same thing. That's why you didn't have no changing guns, the same maps, because it was just a DLC.
Now somebody mentioned
that was what happened with Saints Row 4.
Wait, you said Saints Row 4?
Yeah, that was how Saints Row 4 happened. It was supposed to be a DLC, and they made a full game out of it.
They should have left it as a
That's insane.
I
had no idea about that.
The map was identical. They just added different powers and stuff, but it was supposed to be like that.
That's literally Modern Warfare 3.
Saints Row Delta, because I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say this. Saints Row 2 arguably has one of the best modern day soundtracks out of every single video game. Every single song, I don't care what genre was in there. Every single song was a banger. You were just driving around. I was driving around just listening to like
any of the Saints Row
I didn't
games
even
were
like
good for
emo music, like emo punk music. And I'm over here, I'm like, you better make damn sure that you can run around. Like, I'm like, oh, no, you won't ever get too far from. Like, I'm driving down, just mowing people left and right, just mowing them over. I'm not even doing the missions. I'm just listening to. They had Cassie's Me and You in that, Nemo. They had Cassie's Me and You.
Fire.
You
would
like just get done doing a drive-by, jump back in the car to drive away. It's me and you. It's just like, what? Like, yo, that's fire. I'm like in the car, like,
make a move.
they had Wale on there. They had so many. They just had so much stuff. They had My Chemical Romance was on there. Like, just so many different groups of just amazing people who just made amazing songs were just on that playlist, and nothing's ever topped that.
Yeah.
GTA comes
I have two things I want to say that I've been sitting on two things I want to say. One, the last time I really played Call of Duty and tried, the meta was running around with the Akimbo Model 1887 shotgun.
Lost your beautiful face.
And running the martyrdom perk, so if you died, it would just blow up everyone in the room.
That was fun.
It was annoying as hell.
Oh, that's crazy.
That was literally all I ever saw.
They added where you could throw grenades back.
Yeah.
You would just drop a grenade. So like, if you everyone just ran the perk, but if you were bad like me, you ran martyrdom, because then the shotgun players would get killed trying to get out of the room when they did it. And that was the only kill you got all match. So the second thing is, and part of me wants to wait to see PJ again because he brought this up. They just brought up settings for controllers, which reminded me I wanted to talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
Please, for the love of God, game studios, game devs, stop turning on chromatic aberration and film grain by fucking default in my games.
Yes.
I am playing a video game. If I want it to look like a movie, turn it off by default. Let me toggle that shit on. I am not here to see film grain or motion blur or fucking chromatic aberration on everything. I don't want to see. I'm not here for lens flare.
It needs to be on like a spectrum of how much blur you want.
Absolutely, it does.
Because
every time.
Sometimes when you turn it off, then it just looks too video gamey. Like it looks too arcadey. So like I would like there's one game.
Get it right in the middle by default. Turn off chromatic aberration. Turn off the film grain.
An intensity slider, because like putting that at like a 2, that just feels normal. Because even if you move your head fast, you're gonna get some motion blur. Like
it's like chromatic aberration though. It's like being in a fucking Michael Bay film, and it drives me nuts. Like, I'm sitting there, and it's like I walk into it's like it's a fantasy world, and all of a sudden the fucking lens flare comes at me. I'm like, no, I'm not looking at this through a fucking movie camera. Like I am the character. I'm not playing a fucking film. Like add those. Let me toggle those on.
And
it works really good in those cinematic games. It works perfect there, because they're supposed to be like that.
So I'm actually glad you brought that up, because you just sparked an idea in my head. I don't know, because I'm not a programmer, I'm not a developer, I don't know like any of these things. I don't know how realistic this like demand or this suggestion can be. But as somebody who is both a multiplayer expert and a single player story mode player, I think, especially with games like Call of Duty, settings for your single player games should be different for multiplayer games. And again, I don't know how possible that is, because I know like there's a lot of work that goes into making a video game.
Games where they have both modes, or games where they've got
games where that includes both a story and a multiplayer, like Call of Duty, the settings for your story should be different, because there's so many times, right, where I'm playing a story mode that, you know, film grain, motion blur, that's totally fine. You know, I'm there for the interaction of being a part of the story.
And then you go into multiplayer,
and then I have to spend a whole 7 minutes going through every single setting, changing everything, and then God forbid if I want to finish.
I think presets should at least be a thing for
exactly.
And I think that's fair, because like you said, like the way you play, like me and you played, for example, me and Nemo have played what was it, Space Marine. right? And the way Space
Great game,
Marine,
by the way.
yeah, it's a great game. The way Space Marine 2's like PvE works is very fundamentally different than how the PvP works. I've even had to go into my settings and change things around so that I would be better, because the things that I would do in PvE don't work in PvP. So now I got to rework how I play the game. So I do think that would be great to have a PvP loadout like setting for your controller and the PvE, because some games you're doing more in the environment or interacting, and then in PvP most of the time people aren't doing all those extra environment stuff. Give you a prime example of stuff like that in PvP. For Honor, most of the time no one's really trying to throw people off the edges because they're like, that's not honorable, which is so stupid. You get in a match with me, you turn your back, and I'm using the big Viking Raider dude, I'm picking your ass up over my shoulder, I'm throwing you off the nearest edge I can find. Like, you could bitch and moan and complain after the match is over when you've lost, and then you'll know why you lost, because you weren't trying to win the game. So a lot of gamers just come up with their own like little meta rules, and that's how you're just supposed to play. Like they did the same thing in what is it, Elden Ring. People would be like, if this person doesn't,
we talked about this about like,
fuck no, you're invading me. I'm trying to get from point A to point B. I'm not gonna sit here and let you just do whatever and stop my time from playing. That's stupid. I'm using every bullshit tactic I got. And I guarantee you're gonna lose, and I'm gonna continue playing my game, having fun. Before I get.
But I think that's a very viable. I think it's a valid and viable thing to ask for. I think a lot of games are doing a lot of accessibility initiatives now, and Call of Duty is actually leading in a lot of regards to that, because they've added, because accessibility. Everybody thinks accessibility is just like a button binding type thing, but it's like anything involving like color blindness as well, but just general user flow. Like I think that's a really good user flow thing. So, I mean, interestingly enough, like we brought up Cyberpunk, right? I'm epileptic. And when Cyberpunk came out, they had there was a fiasco with the brain dance thing, because you'd put on the brain dance visor, right? And it would put you through the thing. Initially, it was causing seizures in the reviewers when they did the original copies, or when they did the initial review copies. And the fun backstory about that was because the initial effect that they decided to use was not only inspired, but basically a direct copy from the sequence of lights and colors used to induce seizures used by neurologists. It was an attempt to make it more realistic in the way that it's supposed to like interact with the brain. But whoever went through it didn't think, hey, what if someone is actually epileptic?
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, America.
Imagine if that game would have been a VR game. You're just in there.
Oh no, I mean. Yeah, no, for real. And that's the thing, right? Like
that's what would happen. It's crazy.
That's so scary.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is America.
The thing is, right? Like, I take 2 big-ass pills a day. I don't have seizures, right? I don't know what it would be like if I strapped my face to something that played the sequence that's supposed to make me have a seizure, right?
Yeah.
But the big thing is, a lot of people don't realize, and this was something even in dev circles that they didn't get, the epilepsy warning on the beginning of video games that we all skip. I skip it. I don't watch it out of honor. It's not a moment of silence thing for me. That shit's getting in the way of my game. That warning is not there for people that know they're epileptic. That warning is for people that are experiencing those symptoms and might actually be epileptic without realizing it. Because those warnings weren't standard in games when I was a kid. And I found out when my epilepsy fully manifested in college with Amir. When I had my first grand mal seizure, I found out that I had been having petit mal seizures through most of my adolescence. And if you read those epilepsy warnings now, word for word, everything that happens in that list is something I was experiencing. But my doctors didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. So we just went on with it. And now, like, so that thing is if you have those things, like, it's not a matter of, like, it's not like epileptics don't just avoid video games. Like, we don't not go to 3D movies or some shit. We take the medications. And if we don't have seizures because of those medications, we can do whatever the hell we want. But those warnings are there in place to prevent seizures from occurring, like past a certain point. Because my petite things, like the small seizures I had as a kid, I would just get confused. It's sort of like when you're walking up the stairs at night and you think there's one more step, and you step and there's nothing there, and your heart leaps out of your fucking body for a second. It was like that. I just lose track of what was going on. When I had my grand mal seizure in college, I fell off my bunk, hit my head, got a concussion and short-term memory loss, and bit a chunk out of my tongue.
Yeah, that shit was wild.
So yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking crazy. It took years for that.
Also, like, because me and Delta were cool. So like during this point in time, me and Delta were already like friends. So we were like talking, hanging out every day. And I remember like his dorm room, I believe, was like literally right above mine. So like I just in the middle of the night, I just hear this, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And then I'm like,
I'm 6'5" and like 280 pounds.
I didn't see Delta for like a day, so like I was like,
built like
Delta,
an NFL linebacker.
Yeah,
God
he came,
damn.
like, whenever he was recovered enough to like go back to doing things, I was like, yo, like I heard this like noise the other day. He was like, yeah, I almost died. He was like, I almost died, Will. I almost died. I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What happened? So yeah, he was like, yeah, apparently I have seizures. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Like I just woke up in ambulance. That's it. Like you don't know what's happening leading up. You don't know what's happening during. You just wake up.
It's so scary.
And it's awful. It's like literally I can only equate it to like when you hold the power button down on a PC and it just sort of spasms for a second and then it's just my brain.
I've always thought of it like, imagine you're in the Matrix and somebody comes up behind your head cable and just goes,
just pulls the plug. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like,
so
dude, no, low key. If I could get
Matrix.
something that monitors my brain waves, I would absolutely have something play like the Windows boot down sound effect if I ever had a seizure.
That would be
like,
crazy.
That
crash sound, like because it's exactly. Like it's crazy, right? But like the thing is like that's something that like the big thing about when that happened with the review copies though is they hadn't put the epilepsy warning in yet. And the big thing is, and I've advocated for this at previous jobs on certain projects where I'm like, hey, just put it in. Because the thing is, it's like, it is a paragraph of text that makes you immune to legal repercussions if someone happens to have a seizure. Like, it's not me going against the people, right? But like, if you need to put this in there, because if someone has a seizure, like they should find out they're epileptic, right? And prevent this before it gets really nasty. But B, don't let some asshole sue you just because they happen to have a seizure and didn't know they were epileptic. Like that's not your fault. But your game, like you don't just cover your ass, right? Like it's not.
CYA.
It's not.
Yeah, basically it's cover your bases. You can't. Yeah.
I got a question though. Is anybody playing Claire Obscure with the Expedition
33?
I don't know how to say the name. Anybody playing that?
Disclaimer: I am watching it. I am not playing it because I bought Assassin's Creed Shadows,
which is awesome,
amazing.
Yes.
And because of financial situations, I couldn't afford to get both games. So I'm playing Assassin's Creed Shadows and I'm watching Expedition.
You should invest
33.
in Game Pass if you have your PC.
Expedition.
Honestly, I think I might do that, low key.
Man,
you should.
You could have played that for free.
South of Midnight.
South of Midnight for free.
Yes, that's
Nemo,
next on my list.
I gotta tell you, Nemo.
That's next on my list.
Talk about Sinners, but like. Nemo, you loved Sinners. You're gonna fucking love South of Midnight.
Yeah,
like
South of Midnight is fantastic,
and it's crazy because that game has been on like my most anticipated games since they announced it back in. What was it?
2 years ago.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, and I was just like, and I was just like, as soon as I saw like the teaser trailer, I was just like, oh, I'm locked in because I grew up watching like not like all westerns, but Clint Eastwood movies because my grandmother loved Clint Eastwood. So like that cowboy western thing, So
did you watch Tombstone?
I did not.
I watched Tombstone. That is because it is my dad's favorite movie. I've watched it over 500 times as a child.
Major W.
As a child, all the way.
So if you are also like PJ and your dad or granddad or a parent or a boomer in your family also was into westerns, then you should check out this because it has new age stuff that millennials like magic and even a character that fits the description of Bilbo Baggins. Enjoy your time while you are traveling around post-Civil War America in a Lord of the Rings style fashion with all different types of fey critters, including goblins and elves. Rock salt. Read it now. Especially if you watch the movie Sinners. Rock salt. Read it now. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
And I can vouch that book is amazing. But anyways,
I sent Nemo a sneak peek from book 3. And he was like, okay, all your Sinner shit's valid. He was like, you get it. I understand.
Also, fun fact, I did a little bit of voice acting for the audiobook version.
We have an
upcoming. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, we have an upcoming audiobook, and Nemo was one of our he played a couple of funny characters, but the best character he played was we have this leader of a band of highwaymen, and he has absconded these women from this like tavern, and he's sitting there.
I remember
that. Our main villain walks in, and this guy Nemo comes up. He's like hawking loogies, and he's like, "What's your pleasure? Boobs, booze, or more boobs?" Like just some random thing, and it was like he didn't even say the line correctly, but it was perfect because his character's supposed to be drunk as hell. So it worked out so perfectly. So he kept his blooper in there.
Oh my god, method acting right there.
That was
great. I will say, right, I'm just going to say this. Expedition 33. As someone who works on video games for a living, games like Expedition 33.
Senpai?
Oh, that's my guy. What's up?
So, Expedition 33, those kinds of games are the reason I work on games. They are the chance to create an experience this fascinating on all these different levels is exactly why I work on games. Because like, as a kid, I remember walking out onto Hyrule Field the first time, right? And that's just pure in my mind from playing Ocarina of Time. But like the idea that something I make could also contribute that sort of feeling, a permanent memory in anyone's mind, no matter what it is, even if I think the game's bad, right? The fact that I can create something that they have there, that's the whole reason I work in games. This game is objectively, I don't think anything can come out within this year for me that will make this not my game of the year. And I do not play JRPGs. This is not my kind of game. But I fucking adore everything about this. It is narratively brilliant. The writing is fantastic. The characters are awesome. The gameplay is fun as hell. I got my critiques, which we can get into at some point. But like this game is, I defy anyone to tell me, even if you don't like it, that it is a bad game.
And it's funny you say that because, you know, from a dev's perspective, you're like, this is the reason why I make video games. And from a consumer's perspective, Expedition 33 is the reason why I play video games. It's the reason why I continue to spend $60, $70, $80 on video games. Because the way that Expedition 33 makes me feel right now is the same way that Mass Effect 2 made me feel. It's the same way that Uncharted 3 and 4 made me feel. It's the same way that Just Cause 2 and 3 made me feel. It's the same way that The Last of Us. It's the same way that The Last of Us made me feel.
He referenced Just Cause. No one references Just Cause without being a king. My hero.
Any game where you can strap a rocket on a cow's butt and make it fly is pretty exciting.
And so like
top-notch freedom.
And this is one of the main reasons why I tell people that video games is a form of art, because I did this social experiment, right? I think it was Thanksgiving like 2-3 years ago. We were the family was gathered at the table, and I was explaining to them like, you know, the current games I'm playing, and they're like, "Yo, this is so fascinating. I didn't know like all these intricacies like go into games." I'm just like, yeah, because you know, like a lot of people are closed-minded and don't even give video games a try. And so I did a social experiment. I was just like, I'm gonna list off a couple of different job descriptions, and you're gonna tell me what product they're making. So I listed writer, director, voice actor, motion cap actor, sound design, composer to make music, the score for this product. And majority of them said, oh, they're making an animated film. I'm like, no, they're making a video game. And everybody was just like all these things go into. I was like, yes, it's not just a whole bunch of nerds at a computer, like, you know, making pew pew games. Like, it's the actual art form.
Yeah,
you know, that's
they
why
are all a bunch of fucking nerds.
Like, God of War is the prime example of video games being an art form. When God of War and God of War Ragnarok came out, I don't know, the guy who voiced the main character. I'm
Christopher
gonna sound like
Judge.
Kratos. I feel like an idiot for not knowing his name.
Christopher Judge, dude. He was Teal in Stargate.
And so he was doing an interview like years ago, and he was saying that when he first got offered the role and he read the script, he deadass thought it was a movie because of how emotionally deep it was. And then when they told him like you're gonna be in a leotard doing motion capture, he's like, "What the fuck?" And he was like, "Yeah, this is a video game." And he was like, "Holy shit!" You know what I'm saying? So video games is a form of art. Like
that's how it was.
Here. I have my PlayStation 2. It still works. Every night before I go to bed, I'm playing Sonic Riders. I got my GameCube here. Every time the bros come over, they come over and we play Smash Bros. Ultimate. And that in itself is the same feeling that people had back in the day when they were playing Marvel vs. Capcom with the bros in like their dorm rooms and stuff like that. And bringing people together through an art is the art of video games. Exactly. You remember when Joel died in The Last of Us? Everybody collectively got together as if we all lost a family member. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was a brief moment in time where everybody was angry and sad and we were all on the same page. There was no anti-woke bullshit. There was no I hate you. Literally everybody was on the same page. We were like, we all cried when Joel died. You know what I'm saying? That was the... Well, I teared up.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't even play. I literally played after I learned that he died. Then I played, so I didn't cry.
I knew they had to do it. I didn't know it was going to happen, but I was like, "There's no way they're going to catalyze this whole game." But what I will give you,
Joel. I take your Joel and I raise you Lee Everett from the Walking Dead Telltale game. That was a sad fucking death. That entire part was sad. In the minute he got bit, I said, "Hell no." I was like, I don't even want to play. I was like, what's Clementine gonna do? Clementine! And then they had like 4 games with Clementine, so that was amazing.
Dude, I'll take your Lee Everett and raise you Morton Solus.
Oh no, not Morton Solus. Yeah. Oh, and that was so sad.
Even on that point though, the beginning of Expedition 33, the fucking prologue had me shook. I was in tears. Yeah. Just the very beginning of it. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but like, fucking hell. It was so good. And like, I was just like, my wife was here. She had already played through part of it because, of course, she went and played a bunch of shit while I was at work. But like, she sat there and she was like, watching me the whole fucking time. And I'm like, God damn it. Look somewhere else. I need a minute. Like, it was rough. It is fucking rough. And it was so well done. And Charlie Cox is the main character who is, he plays Daredevil. He's a fucking phenomenal actor. Like, if you've never seen Daredevil, I have never seen someone where, like, he nails the fact. Like, I've never seen him look at the camera before. Like, I've never seen his eyes focus on anything because he's only ever been, like, the perfect blind dude. So, like, him doing, like, he's a terrific actor, right? But, like, like, this game is so well done. And, like, I'll agree with you. So, my heretical opinion was kind of in the middle with the games on art thing, where I said that games felt more like the canvas to me. Where it was more about what was on the canvas, so that the separate parts were what made it art, rather than the game itself being art. But games like this, and I'll say Ori and the Blind Forest as well, like those kinds of games, when I play that shit, that line is ultra fucking good. That is objectively it's art. And then I'll also end on my other heretical opinion. Why the fuck does it need to be art? Like, I mean, it's artistic. I respect the hell out of it. But, like, whenever I see this debate, like the really angry ones online, but people talk about like whether or not it's art, I don't know why I need to justify what I'm creating as art for it to have fucking value. True. It's culturally significant.
I agree.
You do bring up a good point. And I feel like for me personally, because coming from an artist myself, I'm an aspiring filmmaker and musician, which I'm also going to talk about the music in Expedition 33.
The fucking mind music.
Oh my god. Anyways,
so good.
If you really think about it, I
haven't played it yet. I've just been watching.
Fuck up and play it. Then. Get out of here. We'll take care of this.
If you really think about it, if I'm gonna be like on my artsy like mindset, everything is a form of art in my opinion. That's just how I view.
That's how
I know. I mean,
the technology.
That dump I took before we started the podcast, that was a work of art. The work that went, just let me tell you, that had been sitting.
No, I don't want to. No. Hold on. Okay. To give you some backstory, Nemo. My father, I grew up in an artistic household. My father's a symphonic conductor.
It's the truth, PJ.
That's dope.
My mother's a graphic
like
designer.
Keurig, okay, it was a great one.
Amir, this is for your Roblox podcast, not your grown-up
Roblox podcast. I don't have a Roblox podcast.
You will now with that. You're going to get the whole audience.
Hold on, I have to go get my skibbity toilet. Give me a moment.
Yeah, go get it.
And other Gen X words or Gen Z.
My mother's a graphic designer for children's books, right? So like, I grew up in this crazy artistic household, all that kinds of stuff, right? So luckily, I'm one of the few people in the industry I know of where their parents were like, "Yeah, fuck yeah, do it. It's great. That's a good idea. You get involved in games, right?" Like everyone else is like, "Oh, my family was like, why the hell are you doing that? You can't possibly make money." But yeah, exactly. So I mean, my parents were very follow your dreams, you know.
That's a very
definitely.
My dad was the same way. My dad was throwing me in like video game creation, like, you know, summer camps and stuff when I was like 13. And I would always come out like making little animations instead of a video game. So then he'd be like, "Oh, you just like making animations. Sign me up for the animation." I'd make a video game in their class. Like I was just creative. I just like to make whatever came my way. But that's what got me into writing, was going to those like video game classes and courses and stuff like that. They taught me this one program called Multimedia Fusion 2. And I made this sprite game where I took like all these different Naruto, or sprite animation. I took all these different like Naruto sprites and I made him black, and I changed his name. He was Monak the Hurricane Thief. It was really cool. I had this cool story about this thief.
I recognize that name.
He ends up stealing something, and the thing that he steals is like this very important like relic. It can control time and all this stuff. And there's this like evil dude chasing after him. And then that ended up spawning what you see behind me, which is Eternal Core: The Synthetic Dream, where you have the main character Monak, who's no longer a thief, right? But you still have the same evil dude that was trying to stop him in the original thing. So I kept all that, and then that's got me to also what's behind me, Rock Salt, one of the greatest stories ever told. Again, if you want to make sure you got to make sure you get one, okay? Yeah, I got them in a hardback copy, I got them in the softback, and I got 2 books, and we're working on the 3rd one. It's coming out this year, guys, so get ready for it. It's gonna be great. Rock Salt. Again, remember, if you like cinema, you'll also like this. I promise you.
Pre-order.
Pre-orders aren't available just yet. They will be soon, though.
That's crazy.
Yeah, look at this guy advertising with no pre-orders.
I didn't say I'm advertising. You know, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for the right time to drop the pre-order.
Yeah.
It's trailer first, then the pre-order.
But
no, I just reminded me you saying that you make the black sprites and everything. This is a bit of a shift. I've noticed that there's a huge thing of South American anime fans making, like, their fan art is always using like MS Paint to make like Brazilian Goku or Brazilian Luffy. And maybe as an anime fan, Amir, maybe you can explain this phenomenon to me, because like I'm a late bloomer to the anime fan base, but like obviously the algorithm is now caught on that I like One Piece, and I got the Frank. If I had $1 for every time I get some recommended like page on social media where it's like, yeah, this kid has made like 800 MS Paint images of Luffy, but Brazilian. Like it's a very straight. Like I mean, I cool, but why? It seems like it's a thing. Like
it seems very.
I don't even want to talk about it because
maybe because
that's part of the reason why I hate Tekken right now, because they in Tekken 8 everyone knows
of MS8 Paint Goku.
No, it's because of Eddie Gordo. Because he's a Brazilian fighter, and they made him into Killmonger.
Oh yeah, they gave him the Killmonger dreads.
The Killmonger dreads, and he looks like, I'm like, he's never been this.
He had the dread.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, I'm like, come on now. It'd be different, you know. You can always change it back, whatever. But now it was just that they made him that way to start off, and I'm like, come on now, that's not Eddie. This is literally, you just made Michael B. Jordan into Tekken 8, and I'm like, come on now, let's be real.
Yeah, that would also probably annoy me. Just based on the second description you gave, that would.
Yeah, like no.
I was waiting for Nemo's reaction.
Sorry,
Yeah, You
the
just gave.
whole
Listen,
Star
I'm not gonna
Wars.
say I'm a Michael B. Jordan hater because I'm not, but like, we don't all need to be Michael B. Jordan. I'm just saying.
We don't need the
Yeah.
Killmonger dread.
That's all I'm saying.
That's why. And since this is a video game podcast, as somebody who is a diehard Spider-Man fan, and Japan Amir could vouch for me, the Miles Morales expert, the way they gave him that fuck-ass haircut, I never wanted to throw my controller at a TV set for my entire life.
I can only name like 3 people that I've ever met in my entire life who rock that whenever they have dreadlocks. On average, you're catching somebody like mine, or they're doing the tapered fade on the side, or like, you know, the hairline tapered, all of that, you know, but like, you're not getting on average a lot of black people walking around, even with short dreadlocks. You're not getting a lot of people walking around with Killmonger hairstyle. You don't see it.
I don't know if y'all can see that, but that was me. And
Oh shit!
Look at this kid. Wait, does her shirt say pussy on it?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a hell of a cut off
no.
of the shirt.
I was like, what is your shit? I was like, who put Nemo in a pussy shirt?
Dude, it just needs to say Pussy Slayer. That's all. With those glasses, you know it.
the brand is called Stussy, and it just so happens
He was
Oh,
inside the
FC
Stussy.
was-
Got it. I got it.
But
Neck deep even.
the point I'm trying to
Deep in
make
the
in
Stussy.
showing you the point I'm trying to make by showing you that picture is that I had that haircut back in 2018. That was what, 7 years ago?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even then, he was one of the few people who had it.
So
Look.
it's like the fact that an outdated hairstyle for the black community
That wasn't
is
even that popular
still-
to begin with.
Exactly, it's still creeping into movies, TVs, and video games. It bothers the fuck, and it's
what-
the fact that like our hair is so versatile, you could do so much with it, but yet they decide to just focus
What
on that
bothers
one
me
hairstyle.
is why
You know who
why
made
does that
that?
person have to be the cool, edgy person too with that hairstyle? Like, why do they gotta be like some cool badass? Why can't you just give me some like how Nemo looked, like a nerdy kid in that hairstyle doing whatever the crap they're doing? Why they gotta be always these cool, edgy people? It just doesn't make sense. 'Cause it's not a cool hairstyle. Otherwise, more people would be doing it.
When it's outdated like that, there's only one culprit, and it's a group I've started referring to as the HOA whites. The HOA whites, man, they're the ones. It's like when Apu on The Simpsons got canceled, it wasn't the Indian community. It was the white people that were afraid on behalf of the Indian community.
I
You
feel
know?
that. I feel
It's
that.
I
will say,
It's
I know
when
Absolutely.
Cleveland, when they changed the voice actor for Cleveland on Family Guy,
That
it
was so
wasn't the black
disappointing.
community that was upset. It was the white community afraid that the black community would
I'm
be
gonna tell
upset.
you why that
The
change
HOA.
was so disappointing to me, because they had so many jokes about like the voice actor voicing Cleveland, and I thought that shit was funny. That was some of Seth MacFarlane's best stuff. Now, arguably, Seth MacFarlane did kind of toe the line a little too much sometimes with Cleveland. So like, I get it, but like, I liked it. I was okay with it, because then again, I'm also.
Yeah, but the thing is that the groups were never the ones that were upset by this.
Yeah.
And when you get that thing like the HOA whites group that I'm talking about, they're the ones that are like,
because I'm
oh,
gonna be real.
like we don't want to make a black character with just a buzz cut
One
or
of my
like a
favorite
fade or
things
something.
about
You
like,
have
when
to
it
make
comes
it
to when
fit.
it comes to voicing characters, to me, I think it depends on like the type, like what are you doing as this black character. If there's nothing going on in your series about that character's blackness, then I don't think it matters who's voicing the character. You know what I'm saying? But if you're gonna make a point to talk about like black culture and black issues, then I think that person should definitely be black. I don't think we should have like a caricature going on. But like what made Cleveland so cool to me is because I'm also not a stereotypical sounding black person, right? So having a black character on the screen that like had a nasally voice and was a popular character, a well-liked character, like you haven't had that since Urkel. You know what I'm saying? So it was cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool to
Yeah.
have Cleveland, even if he was voiced by a white dude. Like he did the voice great. That show was amazing. You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
loved
And
all
look-
of that shit. So I wish we could
And the
just
crazy thing is,
we just need to calm down
with the-
sometimes. Okay? So just,
Yeah, the
just a
crazy thing
little
about
bit,
this
not a
is-
lot, just a smidge.
like so Apu's
Calm down a
character
lot
still
of it.
shows up in The Simpsons, but he never speaks now. And the thing is that Apu was actually one of a huge fan favorite in India specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fascinating because so like they had a whole episode about Apu at one point where he was going to become an American citizen, and he was so proud of that fact that he was completely ignoring his original heritage. And the whole episode was about him discovering that the point of being an American was that you could be both proud of being an American and embrace your original heritage.
Yeah.
And so his character was objectively one of the most dynamic in that regard. And then they take him out of these previous concerns, right? That and the voice actor was like, yeah, I don't want to get into any sort of weeds with that. But it sucks that he felt like that, right?
Yeah.
Because there were people, the HOA whites were pissed about that. But I'm going to say this. How are you going to get rid of Apu, but Fat Tony is still in every fucking episode? All right?
Yeah.
Italians, we love the Italian jokes. We love the mafia jokes, all of it. But if you're going to get rid of Apu, who was well written, how are you leaving the fat ass mobster that's always speaking in literally not real Italian? Like half the fucking time. Yeah, he's basically Baba Boopy, but they're leaving that in. It's
Let
like,
me get some of the macaroni. Like,
yeah, exactly.
why?
No, like
Because
Fat Tony's one of my favorite characters. If they get rid of him, I'll stop watching The Simpsons. But like, I don't understand how we're picking and choosing in that way, right? It drives me nuts.
That's because everything's surface level.
yeah.
Well, that's
everybody thinks everybody's surface level, and then they make the surface level deeper than what it's supposed to be.
And also, everybody keeps rating certain things on the same level. So, like, like for example, one of my favorite go-tos when I have this discussion is like Tropic Thunder and what Robert Downey Jr. did. Right? Everybody wants to jump down on Robert Downey Jr., but if we're gonna be realistic with what that character was supposed to like represent. If you would have had a black person in that role, it wouldn't have made sense. You would have lost the whole layer of just how far some actors are willing to go for a role. Like, that was the whole point of that character.
It was a caricature.
It was
that
a
was
caricature.
The point
it was a caricature, but not of black people. It was a caricature of people who would do that. That's what it was. Yeah. And so, like, when people talk about it, they're like, oh, it's blackface. I'm like, it's not. It's like, yes, it is, but also, no, it's not. Because blackface served a specific function. It served there's a specific reason behind it. It's not just, oh, you painted your face black. It was a specific reason. It was you painted your face black to make fun of black people, right? That's what it is. The same thing when like a cosplayer does it to make a point. Oh, well, hey, Hinata's not black. Well, if that's the case, then I should be able to cosplay as Black Panther. Then they go do some stuff holding a banana. It's like, that's blackface. You see what I'm saying? But like, if you just dressed up as Black Panther, not an issue. You don't have to do that. But if you're going to have a character, if you're going to have a movie that's bringing light to something that is fucked up, even if they're making fun of it, it's satire, it's a satirical thing. If they're making a point to talk about, or to even just show how, like a commentary on something historical like that, I just can't just say, oh, we should be mad at Robert Downey Jr. for doing blackface.
And he won awards
that
for
doesn't make
that,
sense
too.
to me.
That was I hated that movie, but that was an award-winning performance.
It's one of my favorite movies.
It's
literally my favorite comedy movie ever made. I will watch that any day of the week.
It goes into my biggest rants of life. That goes into one of my biggest rants of life, of where everybody be worried about the wrong things instead of like, okay, we got real problems, or they take something and make it like, how you, or you say my problem is X, but you're taking it and you're almost there, but you veer off into the wrong direction of what the real problem is.
And now we're talking about something else that no one was even thinking about that. But
like
I said, sometimes it serves a very great purpose. Like I think if we take things for what they are, like for example, if Tropic Thunder would have been a movie just making fun of black people and they had white people in blackface, then obviously I'd be like, this movie is ass and needs to be taken down, and these people all need to be sued. Like, none of them need to make money.
I agree.
That's not what it was. Like, they made fun of everybody in that. Like, and I just feel like sometimes we really just gotta be careful with what's with satire and what's actually something making fun of somebody, like making fun of.
Well, I mean, that was even like a less polarized version of that would be Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
When Big Bang Theory came out, it was a show making jokes about nerd culture, and by the time it ended, it was a show making fun of nerds. And it got like it went from like very clever, very specific niche jokes that like people that enjoyed nerd stuff would get, to a show that was just making fun of and furthering the stereotypes of people who were inherently like geeky.
My favorite episode of that though was the one where they did the D&D, and they had the Jewish character forget his name. They had him doing all the different, like he was the dungeon master, and like just their story and how they beat it, like made me want to play Dungeons and Dragons again. Like up until that point, I didn't even want to play Dungeons and Dragons. I was like, I can never find anybody. Then that happened. I was like, oh wow, I forgot how fun Dungeons and Dragons can be. So I agree. I do feel like after that point, they started just like, yeah, let's just make fun of nerds, and then it does kind of.
Well, I mean, because that was the thing. A bunch of people started watching it that weren't the original audience for the show.
Yeah.
So they were, these people were like, fuck nerds, and then they were like, okay, yeah, I guess fuck nerds, and they built the entire show around it. And I think it's just right now as a society, we see hills, we see a valley full of hills, and we feel the need that we need to die on every single one of them.
That one.
Yes.
I picked that one.
That's
like that.
What's that?
Right there.
You need to pick your hills to die on, but you're dying on every hill.
So,
Go ahead.
I'm so glad I came back just in time. Sorry about that. My mom called me. So whenever my mom calls me, I'm just like,
what you mean, Mom?
Hi, Mom.
So I'm so glad we're talking about like just nerd and like geek culture in general, because I made a video like 3 times talking about this. Newsflash to everybody in the world: every single person is a fucking nerd. I hate to break it to you. You are a nerd. You have a niche. You're a nerd about makeup. You're into what's that word called?
Cosmetology?
Yeah, cosmetology. You like sports. You're a nerd for sports. You like cars. You're
especially like fantasy football. It's literally just like D&D, but for sports. It's crazy.
But look,
You know what I'm saying?
you're I'm an athlete. I was an athlete through and through. I played basketball overseas.
Brag about it.
I've made my money off of it. I've done what I could. I've done it. 2 torn ACLs, all that.
Damn.
Did it. Yeah, it was not fun. But I've made it. Okay. In high school, dealing with nerd culture, they didn't expect me to be cool with them because, you know, the whole jock nerd that fight that's always been over for decades.
It was started by the jocks. I maintain that.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Here's the thing. I would have to disagree with you. Only hold on. Let me cook. You know who started that divide? You know who started that argument? The media.
That is a fact.
The movies, the TV shows, the white people who don't know anything about nerd culture, who had the predetermined image of what a nerd is like, they pushed that onto the media, and then the people consuming the media watched that stuff. The people consuming the media watched that stuff and was just like, oh, that's what a nerd is. But that's false. So, yeah, I see where you're coming from. But the jocks and stuff like that just played into the bigger part of what...
Because we're stupid. We're stupid.
He's
Consumerism will be the death of us. It already is. I mean, look at games and movies right now. Look at the Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon remake. There's no need for those movies, but because of nostalgia and consumerism, people are still going to see it.
I would love to see a live action Hiccup. You are not gonna tell me I don't get to see the part where at the end of the movie he doesn't realize he's lost his leg and now he's hindered just like Toothless, and when he tries to take that step and he falls and Toothless catches him. I need that.
What is this?
This is How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Now the floodgates just started. They just came. I was like, that's his fucking dragon, man. That's my motherfucker.
And this is the consumerism I'm talking about. Because the fact that you think you need it is a problem in itself.
I'm not thinking, Nemo. I do need it.
Okay, well, so let's put it this way. I don't remember how long it's been since How to Train Your Dragon came out. I've never seen it, but I do know that it's been a hot fucking second since I've seen it. You know what we really need?
Live action Shrek. Now that would be the death of us through consumerism. Okay, a live action Shrek, and we don't even put Mike Myers in it. We put somebody else we put Jack Black as Shrek. Okay, so Jack Black as Shrek, and we put I don't know who's a cool Margot Robbie as Fiona. There you go. That's what we're doing.
No, that would be insane.
And then I don't know who we would get to play Donkey, but I feel like a live action Donkey would be bad. So
have Jack Black and Margot Robbie become the new Johnny Depp and Helena Bonham Carter?
It should be.
We're just gonna see them in everything now. Like,
hey, listen, he did
and
really good.
Also, Donkey wouldn't be in the live action. Donkey wouldn't be in the live action because it would be offensive according to the HOA whites.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah. Because it wasn't a matter of the fact
they
that he
would
was
change
like
Donkey, and they would make Donkey like a dog.
They would do Donkey like they did the remake of I forget the Disney movie Mulan. Yes, where they took the dragon completely out.
Yeah, just removed it completely.
He's no longer in it.
You're right. That's exactly
because the thing is the HOA whites will go in and be like, "Is it bad that we made the donkey a black person?" And it would be like, and then they would start going off on symbolism. And then all of a sudden, then there would be a problem.
Because Donkey represents
this is one of Eddie Murphy's best roles. He's fucking fire in this role. No one would pay attention to that then.
Yeah. And because a donkey in another culture represents something completely evil, and we have to eliminate it because it's bad. And
it's actually funny.
That one obscure culture that 10 people have studied about, they know that this is offensive to this group of people that don't even have access to TV, so they'll never see this movie. But we know for a fact that we can't do this, okay? We just can't. We can't cast an Indian person as a cow. It would be wrong. Like, it's stuff like that. That's the stuff that gets us messed up. You see what I'm saying?
So does anybody know the new TV show that came out? It's by Seth it's by Seth Rogen. It's called The Studio.
Oh no.
The only reason I know about it because of Call of Duty, and that became one of the was in the past. That's the event. That's the only reason I know.
It's an episodic TV show about a major movie company, and it shows the point of view of an actual film lover being in a position of a CEO and executive trying to make movies that he
seeing how the sausage is made.
But at the same time he has to adhere to the business side of things. So the show is absolutely brilliant, and I highly recommend it. But it's ironic that you guys are talking about this because the latest episode was about them making a live-action Kool-Aid movie, and they had casted Ice Cube to voice act Kool-Aid.
Hell yeah!
And then the episode, and it was so brilliant because the episode starts off. They were like, "Oh, here's the cast. It's brilliant. Let's get the ball rolling." And then they're staring at the cast board, and they were like, "Wait, is it offensive to have a black man voice act as the Kool-Aid man?" And then it trickles into this whole snowball effect. They were like, "Okay, if he's black, let's make his family black." But then the rest of the cast is white. So they were like, it's a kind of offensive to have the only animated people black actors, but the rest of the live action characters are white. They were like, we need to cast lesbians, Asians, and it spirals into this whole thing. Exactly. So I just thought it was, thought it was really funny.
Real. Like, Nemo, you, me, and PJ would be lying if we said we didn't find some black stereotypes to be funny. Like, if they're done, if they're done,
that's a fact.
The thing that people are missing is it's not that you can't do or cast or make stereotypical roles. You definitely can. The shit's going to sell. You just have to do it tastefully. That's it.
It's about whether or not it's malicious. That's the whole thing. Like,
if you're doing
you remember,
to be
me and Amir used to watch Black Dynamite.
Like,
remember Black Dynamite?
That shit was crazy.
Even the Dave Chappelle show when he was being the black KKK guy, the black Triple K person, like that. Some of that was like some of the peak comedy, man. He was like, where's he at? Get that, like, you know what I'm saying? He's like a blind black guy. Hilarious. So funny.
That being said,
Uncle Ruckus incarnate. Amazing.
With that being said, we have to understand that, yes, people, we know there are those certain few people within our community that's going to take everything seriously because it's a trend to take everything seriously, to be butthurt about everything. Please understand that is not all of us.
Trend too, because that's what happens with social media. So like something good, something very noble you come out, like, even this happens with me and Nemo. Like, me and Nemo will talk about, like, certain cultural themes that are in different shows, games, animes, things like that. And then we'll bring it up from a good place. And then next thing you know, you're like 5 days later, you're seeing all these people just taking that concept and running with it. Running it into the dirt. And it's just like, no, you can't take every little thing. It's gotta actually be the thing. Hit it, Nemo.
So to piggyback off of what PJ said, because I'm in this gray area about taking things seriously, because yes, some of these stereotypes are true. You know, us as black men, we could be like, yep, that's true. It's hard to deny it. And like, you know, Amir said, like, you know, it has to be done tastefully. And the second rule for me personally, it has to be done by a black person. Because if a white man is making a film talking about black stereotypes, I'm like, all right.
It's safer that way. You should at least be. But then again, what about people like Mindy Kaling? Because, you know, she gets a lot of hate because she writes a lot of Indian stereotypes. You see what I'm saying? And she is an Indian.
Yeah.
But they're negative though inherently.
See, like
if you watch,
I think, like I said, the maliciousness. I think that is the biggest key. That's what I'm.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like the laws. It's like the laws of robotics, right? Like the core tenet needs to be that it's not malicious. The second most important thing is that it's perpetuated by a group that is a member, or by someone who is a member of that group.
Right.
Because that's the thing. So like, I watched Velma. I tried it out. I wouldn't have had a big issue with her like acknowledging stereotypes, but the ones she was doing, she was perpetuating. She was acknowledging them like they were gross. Like she was making them all negative.
I'm probably the only person in the who's cool with season 1. Season 1 had me laughing. I'm not gonna lie. Season 2 was an utter dog walk like shit show. Like I felt the same way about season 2 that everybody felt about season 1. And then I was like, okay, I get it now. But season 1 to me was fine. I had no problems. No problems.
But but like I said, to piggyback off of
but
PJ,
I do agree. She could have done those things a lot better, Delta.
Yeah, but to piggyback off of what PJ said, I think there needs to be a determining factor when we're like, oh, okay, this is funny, and like, okay, let's take this shit seriously. Because I feel like if we're 100% always taking things seriously, then we're kind of like, we're in this like only listening to Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole territory, right? But hip hop could be like, you know, listening to Lil Uzi. There has to be that balance. But at the same time, you can't always be fucking around with that shit. Like for me personally, you know, Japan Amir knows that I make a lot of content about, you know, the systemic racism in Hollywood and talking about, you know, the social issues going on within film, and just everything in general. So, like, for example, when I talk about, you know, the casting for the live action Green Lantern, my video blew up. It was full of, I literally had to disable the comments because it was full of black people saying, well, I'm black and I don't care. I'm like, you're not the spokesperson of every single black person out there in the world, first of all. And second of all, like PJ said, we can't take everything seriously all the time, but there are certain times where we do need to take it seriously.
I agree.
Because, for example, when I'm talking about the live action casting, I love Aaron Pierre, one of my favorite new actors out right now. But that doesn't mean I'm going to ignore the systemic problem that is whitewash. Hollywood. So when you have, you know, when I'm watching my brothers and sisters who are black saying like, oh, I don't care, I could let it slide, that is the reason why they continue to get away with it. Because we keep on letting it slide. So yeah, PJ is right. We can't take shit seriously all the time, but at the same time, I'm the type of person, I know exactly when to take shit seriously, and other times like, damn, that shit's funny.
But that's the difference. You know when to and when not to, because we can discern malicious intent and jokes.
Yeah.
As people, because I joke all the time. If you was in high school with the lunchtime jokes, you know what I'm saying? You know, the roast sessions, you know when people were taking it serious. You know when people was trying to be malicious and when they were just being funny.
Yeah.
You knew when, you knew what time it was. So in the same sense, there's a lot of people who don't have a sense of humor, who know when to, oh no, I don't like this. And then there's people who are brainwashed or trying to be desensitized to things where they don't take stuff seriously. So it, like you said, there does need to be a gray area of we need to know when, to put our foot down.
I think a big part of this is, and just on a higher level too, outside of this specific case in general, I think people are just sick and tired of people are trying to simplify things down into, for lack of a better term, black or white, right? One or the other. Mm-hmm. The fact is there are so many shades of gray and spectrums in everything now. There's context is key in everything. Learning how to discern is everything. But so people when you're tired and you're hurt and you're scared and you're just sick of seeing everything, sometimes it's easier for people to look at an entire situation under one filter. So you see a lot of people that are violently aggressive against the church and everything, and they rally against the concept of the church, and it's anything involving the church is evil, right, to them. Mm-hmm. But then you get people I'm not a particularly religious guy, but both of my parents are. They are two of the most accepting, loving, all types of people, all walks of life, people I've ever met, right? And that's a big part of that is living in New York. You know, you learn all types of people in a place like that. But it's inherently easier if you're scared of someone who happens to be a member of a group to look for that group and say, okay, everything under that group is going to be negative to me, or everything that flies this flag or subscribes to this type of thinking. And it's when you're exhausted, and let's be honest, man, the whole world's fucking exhausted right now. It takes a really strong person to look at a situation and apply context, and the majority of people, especially online, are not going to take that time. Really so it's up to us.
They're uneducated.
It's up to people to take the time to do that and teach others to do the same, which is why I was saying before, it's about teaching people that a disagreement can be teaching each other your perspective rather than proving the other person wrong. Yeah. You apply that context so that they can move forward in the future with that context.
It's the debate field, bros. Everybody get them!
and it's not only that. I'm tired of people thinking they can read people's emotions through typed words, because everybody feels like you can send a message and you know exactly. Keep in mind, you're reading the message off how you feel. That tone of voice is what you're feeling right now. This person, I tell people this, okay can have 7 different meanings depending on how you use it.
Yep.
The tone of voice.
I have a person, if what we're talking about is, this happened to me the other day. I was talking about the reason women say it's all men. I was talking about that, and some dude was coming in there and he was bringing up these points, but part of me was I really feel like he's not, I feel like he's getting what I'm saying, and then another part of me was I feel like he's antagonizing me. So I was like, wait a minute, you know what? Let me just message him separately. So I messaged him separately, and I was like, hey man, do you want to go live and talk more about this? And he was like, no. He was like, ultimately, man, I agree with what you're saying. I was just saying we got to probably there's maybe another way we could say it to get, to reach more different types of people.
All about context.
Yeah. And I was I was like, all right.
But it's not even just that.
But
it's not even just that.
For the same
you
reason.
Went the extra mile to assure.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
If we're going to communicate, we have to. You know what I'm saying?
But you went the extra mile, as a man, you went the extra mile to, hey, do you want to talk about this? Do you let me try to convert? People aren't doing that now. Yeah. They just take whatever and send shots.
Because it literally sounded like he was middle of the road, but leaning opposite. And I wasn't sure if this was somebody who's just gonna troll or if this was a serious thing. So sometimes you have to take that extra step. You can't really
PJ's point,
and there's nothing wrong with
I will say, to PJ's point, it's really hard to tell context through text, you're right, which is why I've been using the fuck out of the weird animated or italicized text stuff you can do on iPhone now, where if you're sending a text, you can highlight it. It sucks. The user experience is terrible. It takes forever. But let me tell you, I've avoided so many catastrophes by throwing that emphasis in there. Sometimes, I've wanted fonts in text for ages because it's emojis are the new body language,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't use emojis for the longest time, and now that I'm in a professional work environment and I'm using emojis so that people don't think I'm throwing shade at their code. Where I'm hey man, shit's still kind of fucky. The smiling sweat emoji.
I use emojis for that same reason too. I might say, because sometimes you might type fast, and in my line of work, when we're typing up our notes, we type all of our notes in caps lock. So if you reach out to me on like our Microsoft Teams and I respond to you, I don't want you to think that I'm yelling. So like if I'm still in caps lock, so I'll do that, and then I'll send like a GIF or I'll send like a smiley face, so you know, like, yeah, I'm answering you, I'm not yelling at you. But anyway, guys, we got like 2 more minutes left, so we need to get our final thoughts.
We're gonna end it on that note. He said GIF. Amir said GIF instead of GIF. Get him. Fucking get him.
But I'm gonna say this real quick. Whoever came up with all caps lock is me yelling is the dumbest person on earth. I just want to say that. If you think all caps is yelling, sometimes people type in all caps because they're stuck in all caps.
Or excited.
Turn off your fucking caps lock.
They work.
That's all I gotta say.
Look, my caps lock button might be broke.
You use it too much.
You right.
Listen, man, I'm Italian. We speak in caps lock. Turn off your caps lock.
I speak very loud, very passionately, so I type loud and passionately too. Don't mean I'm yelling because my cap lock is on.
PJ, I need you to calm down, okay? You're getting a little too loud. You're getting us all riled up here. Little too cap lock. And with that final tone policing, we are ending the Spawn Point sessions. Thank you, Nemo, so much for being a part of our podcast today. It was great.
No problem.
It was really cool.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
I also want to thank you again for giving PJ something that he could go really, really, really deep in, which was Call of Duty. For the last couple episodes, PJ's been the chill guy, just kind of offering an opinion every now and then. So it was really good to see him in that environment. I really do appreciate you coming on. And talking.
No, this went by. I'm not gonna lie, this went by really fast. I thought we had more time. I was getting ready to talk about GTA 6 and all this other stuff. I'm like,
if you want to come back next Sunday, you can. I don't think anybody has a problem.
Yeah, please do.
I'm not gonna lie. Right after we get off, I'm immediately check my schedule and I'm gonna let you know.
Yeah, no, we're always happy to have you, man. Please.
Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
It's just us just chilling. I do know we have a couple of special things planned where it will just be obviously just the three, me, Delta, and PJ. We're planning on doing some playthroughs while we're playing game, doing the podcast.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, man, anytime if we don't have a guest, I definitely don't mind having people come back. That's
of course.
Especially
you actually ask questions, which is good.
No, because me, I'm such a conversationalist. And then on top of that, I just love learning. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why people have this stigma of trying to be this all-knowing, but it's just you can't be all-knowing if you don't learn in the first place. So the reason why I ask questions is because I want to gather as much information before coming up with an opinion, And so
it's not only that. To ask questions is to not say you don't know and you're wrong sometimes, and people can't help admitting that they're wrong sometimes.
Exactly,
it makes them feel stupid if they say that they don't know.
I think it's more of a flex to ask questions. If you ask me,
I think so too.
Me and you both.
Last words.
Hey, Global Gaming League #GGL. That's the tournament. That's the league to go to. That's where we're playing all sorts of games and get picked up.